Hey guys, we're going to be looking at how to write the equation of circles and also how to find the radius and center of circles if we have the equation. So if you read through, it talks about some basic ideas with circles. So like for example, if you got a circle with a radius of 7 and the center is at the origin 0, 0, then like this would be your basic equation. And the big idea with this is that it's really based on Pythagorean Theorem. So in the center of the page, it talks about Pythagorean Theorem and how that's related to the coordinate grid. And we're going to discuss some examples on the next page. So if you go to the back of this page, okay, there's some examples that are done for you. And for like the first example here, you'll see that there's a relationship between the numbers next to x and y and then where the circle is centered. So those signs are basically the opposite. And then for the last number, if you take the square root of that last number, that gives you the radius. So we're going to look at some examples and write out the equations and write the center and the radius out. So for the first one, where it says now you try some, part A, because the origin 0, 0, if you have a 0 for any part of the coordinate, it's just going to be x squared and y squared for that value. And then take the radius and square it, and you get 16. So if you look at B, those are positive 3 and positive 7, so when we write those, we'll have minus 3 and minus 7 in the parentheses. And then we square 10, which is 100. With C, the diameter is 6. You want to look out for that, which means the radius is 3. And I'm going to write this one above. You can write it in the space. So this one will be x plus 3, because it's a negative 3, squared, plus y minus 5 squared equals 9. And then with the last one, the x and y values are going to have plus signs. So the last one is going to be x plus 5 squared plus y plus 1 squared. And then if you square the square root of 11, you're going to get 11 because that's not a whole number. So going through the other parts, and you want to do this if you're trying to do a graph, you want to write out the center and the radius, okay, as you'll see in some of the questions later on. So for the center, use the x and y values and flip the sign, so you get negative 3 and 4, and then you want to take the square root of 16, which means the radius is 4. We talked about also with B, x squared, that means that the x value is going to be 0. So we'll have a centered circle at 0, negative 8. And the radius is going to be square root of 4, which is 2. Going to C, similar. This will be 2, 1. And the radius will be the square root of 100, which is 10. And then with this one, there's actually a mistake here. This should be a y. This would be 1, 0. And then if you don't get a square root that's a whole number, like this one, you can just leave it as that square root. If it did say to do nearest tenth, then yeah, you want to put it in around it. Okay? But that's the big thing. If you were asked to do a graph, make sure you write out these two values before doing the graph. And if you need help with that, please call me over, okay?